Everyone. Good evening. I want to welcome everyone. It's great to see such a large crowd and everyone participating in our political process. Thank you all for coming. My name's Cody Sinclair. I'm the president of the chamber as well as the moderator for this evening. I'm also joined by Dixie Johnson, CEO of the chamber, as well as Gail Simmons, secretary of our Government Affairs Committee. If you would please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So we'll start this evening by just an explanation of the procedures. Tonight's forum will be in this order: Sheridan College trustees, School District Number 3 trustees, School District Number 1 trustees, School District Number 2 trustees. Candidates will have a 1.5-minute intro, followed by questions with up to 1 minute to answer each question, and then a 1.5-minute closing. Chamber staff will operate the timer and will signal candidates when they have 30 seconds remaining, a yellow sign, and a stop when the question or time is done. All questions you will hear tonight were compiled by the Chamber's Government Affairs Committee and will be asked through me, the moderator. This candidate forum is being live streamed and recorded. It's our goal to have it posted to our website, www.sheridanwyomingchamber.org, within 24 hours. Candidates, if you would please enter on the far side of the stage, your right when facing, and you'll exit by me, the moderator. Just want to share our Government Affairs Committee mission statement. The Sheridan County Chamber of Commerce Government Affairs Committee acts as a conduit for ideas and information regarding public policy to flow between members, the board, local municipalities, and elected officials in order to support the health of our communities and the mission of our chamber. So with all the procedures and all that taken care of, it's time to get started. So if I could please have all of our candidates for Sheridan College trustee, please enter the stage on the right. So we did have a few candidates that weren't able to make it this evening, so I'll start by reading statements from those candidates. First, a statement from Bob Liebrecht. I would like to thank the Chamber of Commerce and others who have sponsored and made this event possible. Unfortunately, I am unable to attend tonight's forum due to prior commitments. My family, LaDonna, and I consider Sheridan our home. I have worked for First Interstate in Sheridan for 25 years. I have achieved an MBA and a CPA. I have been actively involved in leadership and strategic planning for many years of my career. I was appointed to the board in June of 2010 and have been elected for terms in 2010, 2014, and 2018. I believe my career and board experience gives me the background to serve the county constituents effectively. Since serving on the board, the college has achieved growth of our student population and increasing retention and completion. These factors have become important in maintaining the financial health of our college, as nearly 50% of our state aid is attributed to the success in these areas. Number two, effective in achieving state support and updating our facilities and equipment with the help of Whitney Benefits, many of the other nonprofits in our community, and local donors, resulting in minimal burden on local taxpayers. Number three, within the past 3 years, we have been able to bring our teachers and staff salaries in alignment with other community colleges in the state and region. Prior studies have shown the college and its students have a $50 million annual economic impact on the financial health of our community. Many firms expanding or relocating to Sheridan has listed Sheridan College as one of the primary factors impacting their decision to choose Sheridan. I believe we need to continue to focus on the growth of Sheridan College to ensure the future health and vibrancy of our community. Sheridan College's biggest challenges for the upcoming years is the management of the separation of Gillette College and maintaining the level of state financial support for our college. We receive more than 60% of support to operate the college from the state. In regards to the separation of Gillette, the past structure worked very effective in minimizing financial obligations on constituents of both counties. This change was going to happen at some time. As we work through this challenge, I have no doubt we will be stronger and we will see athletics reintroduced at some level. I would appreciate your support in the upcoming election. And next, I have a statement from Judith Mcdowell. Good evening, I'm Judith McDowell. I'm sorry that I'm unable to be here in person. I have lived in Sheridan since 1997. My husband and I raised our sons in Sheridan and now have the privilege of seeing our grandson grow up here. Not long after we moved to Sheridan, I joined the nursing faculty at Sheridan College and eventually became director of that program. I am very proud of the kinds of nurses that Sheridan College creates, I am very proud of the kinds of nurses that Sheridan College creates, but Sheridan College is more than just our nursing program. Because I was involved in the college for 18 years, I have seen what a service the college provides for our whole community. Sheridan College offers young people a low-cost way to start higher education after high school, both for those headed eventually to a 4-year degree and those who are headed to skilled trades. The programs offered are wide-ranging and provide students with many career paths. Just as important as the opportunities the college provides for young people are the opportunities the college offers the greater community. The name community college means something. It is inclusive. Sheridan College offers chances for older students to learn new skills, to start new careers, or enrich their lives through any number of offerings in art, music, and recreation. One of the great strengths of our college is that students of all ages and experiences can work together to help themselves, each other, and our community. The past years have brought enormous challenges to all of us, and as we look to the future, we have to consider how to address the results of these challenges. Some of these challenges will be financial. How does the college best use the financial resources it has? Does the college bring back the athletic programs it lost to the pandemic? And will the return of those programs be of financial benefit? The college will have to address the academic skills lost to many of our students during the pandemic. How we do that will depend on how we invest in programs to remediate those losses, and the college must, of course, maintain and improve its offerings, transfer offerings, so that those students who go on to 4-year schools have the tools they need. As a college board member, I will work to help the college maintain those things that make it shine as an institution, and I will also do my best. Perfect. Well, we will continue on now with questions for our candidates on the stage. So we will go in orders that you see on the stage. So first off is the intro, 1.5 minutes. Ward A. Cotton, you'll begin.
Yeah, I'm Ward Cotton, lifetime Sheridanite, I guess. That's what you'd call it. 40 years in education. I'm interested in helping the college work its way through the changes that are happening both at the college and in our community. I really feel the emphasis needs to be on the people that are attending the college, whether they're youth or people coming back for training or people that are moving on. It doesn't matter. I think the college needs to be driven primarily as a service. It really is neat, the junior college process, if you notice. I spent 2 years working at MSU as an adjunct professor, and one of the things I learned was the difference between a junior college and a university is, at university, that your professors are actually monitored by how much they get in grants and how much they publish, not how good they teach. At a junior college, we really look at what we're teaching. So I'm interested in being a trustee. I think I've got something to offer, and I hope you give me the opportunity to.
Thank you. Julia T. Gerlach.
Hi, I'm Julie Gerlach, and I'm a Sheridan native. I was raised on a ranch north of Sheridan. I attended primary school at School District 45. In those days, we had that many of them, constantly battling for money. After graduating from Sheridan High School, I headed down to Laramie and the University of Wyoming, where I spent 3 years in the engineering program. met my husband as an intern, got married, and raised 2 daughters here. Joe, my husband, my brother, Mike Terry, and I were partners in a consultancy that serviced the mining and energy and ag industries in Wyoming and neighboring states, beginning in 1993, and we merged with a larger Montana firm in 2020. So I've spent many, many years managing projects and people, so being accountable. Sheridan County holds a really special interest to me, as it makes us only one of 7 counties in Wyoming that offer a K through 14 education right here. So I think of Sheridan College not only as a great beginning for advanced college studies, but as a center for economic development and expansion for the entire community. So, thank you.
Great, thank you. Next, we have Elaine Olafson Henry.
Thank you, Cody, and thanks to the Chamber for doing this, and thanks to my husband, Richard Garber, who's always right behind me cheering. In 2007, I retired from teaching at Emporia State University in Kansas, where I served as the department chair for 7 years. And as well, and I feel like I have a good perspective on being a faculty member, an administrator, and as well as a student. I just finished a degree at the University of Wyoming in 2020. So I love ongoing learning. And as a lifelong learning with a commitment to higher education, I want to be a part of the resolution of issues for the college that face Northern Wyoming Community College. I believe in the role of the community college as I like to see the seamless transfer of students with having their rigor in their programs, and the importance of the occupational and technical training offered by the school. So with all of these perspectives, I feel like I have I'm in a good position to be on this board. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Chuck Holloway.
Good evening. In May of 2021, I retired from Sheridan College's Ag Department after 28 years of just an incredible journey. My lovely wife, Loretta, and I have been married for 29 years, and we've raised 2 great sons here in Sheridan. Both are graduates of Sheridan College, and both are currently serving in the Wyoming National Guard. I earned my bachelor's in Ag Science and Management in 1984 from the University of California, Davis. I went back to Davis, and in 1986 got my Ag Specialist degree. I began teaching high school Ag in 1886, I feel that old, in 1986, and I completed a master's in curriculum instruction at the University of Wyoming in 2001. While at Sheridan College, I worked my way up through the chairs to eventually serve as faculty senate president. I was a member of several hiring committees. I restarted the Ag program, the Ag Club program, which is part of the National PAS, Professional Agricultural Students. I served as the National Board Chair. If elected, I look forward to sharing my energy, experience, and willingness to listen to the needs of students, faculty, and the community to move Sheridan College forward in a positive direction in the coming years. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we'll move into our question section. So we have 4 different questions. This first question will start out with Chuck Holloway. You'll be answering this question first. What role does Sheridan College play in supporting Greater Wyoming as the state continues to move toward a more diversified economy?
Sheridan College has the unique capability of having several different disciplines in one location. It can be the nursing, the dental, the agriculture, all of the technical programs, energy. It's uniquely situated to get students started in a great career path, which may be a 2-year degree that puts them into the workforce or preps them to go on to the university or other institutions to receive their bachelor's and be part of the local economy, state economy. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Ward?
Well, I agree with Chuck. The college is set in a really good position to do 4 things, actually, or 3. One is to give people the chance to gain their basics here and then move on up. 2 is to teach the basic types of industry skills that we need. And then I think the third one's probably more important, or as important as the rest, is to retrain people to meet the needs of the industries that are coming in and the changes in the industry that we have.
Thank you. Julie?
I have to agree with the gentleman on either side of me. Everything they say is absolutely spot on. I think, so I'm not going to add to that because I think that we do attract business because we have a trained workforce in that regard. But Sheridan College also provides things that so many of us don't have an opportunity to do when we're young. So not only do we retrain, but sometimes we expand our horizons with classes at Sheridan College. I went back myself, and in addition to what I'd learned in engineering, I took business classes. Very helpful. It prepped both of my girls for advanced studies in Denver and Laramie. So my daughters started out here, and both of them have come back after they had successful careers elsewhere. They came back to Sheridan, and are benefiting here too. Thank you.
Great, thanks. Elaine?
I'm going to say I agree with all three of them. So I'm going to just add that having taught at a university and knowing which community colleges we would get the best students from, I think that our community college has that potential and to really have other universities want our students. And so it's all, and for business to want our students. And the quality of the programs is I think, just second to none. So your question about the importance in the state, it's not just for our community, but it is statewide that we can put that rigor into our courses and to provide graduates that can serve the entire state.
Great, thank you. So for our next question, Elaine, you'll be answering this question first. So the 7-member board has been openly and transparently debating a topic. The final vote on this topic was 4-3. If your vote was not on the majority side, how would you handle such a situation?
Oh, wow, that's a good question. Well, one of my closing remarks was going to be that when I join a board, I try to check my ego at the door and roll my sleeves up and just work for the good of the order. And I think that's important, especially when you have dissension. You really need to work with the other people, the people on the board, and not let your ego get in the way and need to win. It is for whatever is best for the school and the students.
Thank you. Chuck?
I think this is where a degree of professionalism comes into play. Having worked at the college for 28 years, I was on the losing side of numerous votes, and I was still there nearly 3 decades later. So it is a matter of checking your ego, trying to look at the big picture, thinking about what is best for the students at the college, and accepting the fact that you're not always right.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Ward?
Cody, I've been married for 45 wonderful years. I know how to lose, smile, and agree with it.
Thank you. Julie?
Absolutely. I think anybody who has operated for many, many, many years, you have to learn to roll with the greater decisions. And sometimes if there are 7 people on a board, that's why you have an uneven number, is that you will have four minds who think a certain way sometimes and 3 that don't. So if you are 6 and 1, now something's wrong. If I'm on the minority end of 6 and 1, I don't understand the issues. So, but yes, absolutely be professional and work with people for the good of the college.
Thank you. For this third question, Julie, you'll be answering this first. What role do you expect the college to have in supporting the community?
Well, as I say, I feel like the college has been a business incubator for many. If you look at EMIT, if you look at VacuTech, if you look at our small company, I think we've had 7 or 8 interns and 2 current employees right now who came through the programs at Sheridan College. And so the first place I often look, and I think a lot of other people do in business, is at Sheridan College. I sat here with Ward and found out, and Dale Simmons, that there's a program at Sheridan College now that I can bring an intern from. So, yes, I think it is to educate, to expand, to continue the education we get K through 12, and to attract other students from other counties and other states. If we have good enough programs like we've developed, they will continue to come.
Thank you. Elaine?
Would you repeat the question?
Sure.
I'm just listening to her.
What role do you expect the college to have in supporting the community?
I think that the college does support the community with what we do for business and preparing students. And I think evidence of this is when you look at the list of outstanding graduates. So many of them are still in the community. They're supporting the college, they're supporting business, and I think of Ken Thorpe and Tom Ringley, who was just recently the distinguished grad, and all that they're contributing to the community and then supporting the college as well. I just think it goes back and forth. I also think that the way in which the college offers some community courses that people can take and have engagement with the college. It isn't a divide. Some communities can be a divide between academia and the business community, and I don't see that in Sheridan. I think that there's a lot of support on both sides.
Thank you. Chuck?
I think Sheridan College supports the community in several ways. First and foremost is in the dissemination of new information via our students. I'm thinking of this in the agricultural sense. Secondly, it is to provide business with viable employees that know with a work ethic, I guess is what I should say there. It is to provide technical education for the businesses that are moving into Sheridan. Our machine tool and die, the welding, all of those are outstanding programs. I also think there's a component for supporting the community via the arts with the different programs they have out there, music, the painting, the sculptures, the different shows and galleries that are hosted. I think that's a wonderful addition to our community.
Thank you. Ward?
I believe the rest of the group up here has covered most everything. There is one thing that I think Sheridan College supports the community in that we don't think about, and that's it gives our youth and everybody else options, which we may not have. My grandchildren are the 4th generation to go to Sheridan College, and they're enrolled right now. So my father, myself, my kids, me, those opportunities would not have been there if that school hadn't been there. My father would have never went to college, never went to university. So that's one of the things that we may not realize it does, because it doesn't always play out directly to the community, but look how many of those people come back years later, start businesses, or just come home to find a job. So I think that options and opportunities are the thing that the college really provides for us.
Great. Thank you. So our final question, Ward, you'll be starting the first to answer this question. What will be your primary considerations for evaluating budget cut proposals and funding shortfalls?
Yeah. Okay, Cody, thank you. Anytime you're always gonna have a budget shortfall. We all do in our home. When you sit down at the kitchen table, there's something that you can't do and something you can't. I think you have to evaluate each one based on the good it brings to the community and to the students. And that's the only way to do it. And each individual thing has to be evaluated.
Great. Thank you. Julie?
Well, that's a fact of life, unfortunately. A budget, we can't spend more than we bring in. And sadly, for the last several years, that's been on a significant decline. I think we had a 30% budget cut 2 years ago, and so it's going to become even more difficult with the FTEs, that we lose with Campbell County coming in. we are going to have to very, very, very carefully go line item by line item. And I think we also have to remember to balance, sometimes the special programs which put out 2-year certificates probably look really, really, really tremendously inviting, but we also have to put people in the seats in the other classes, and quality educators. We have to have quality instructors. I think that would be my real focus.
Thank you. Elaine?
As much as I would love to see athletics come back to Sheridan, it does so much for the community, et cetera, I think that academic excellence is a priority. It is for me. And so I know that budgeting, we're all, as was already said, we're all at home wondering how we're going to cope with inflation, et cetera. And I think, again, we just have to sit down and roll up our sleeves and work for the good of the order and do what's best for the students and the outcomes that we expect from this college.
Thank you. Chuck?
I think every decision has to be based on a cost-benefit analysis. Is it a program or is it an expenditure that will bring back its value or a greater value? If the answer is no, it is on the chopping block. It's a sad situation. But in the agricultural world, that's what happens. It's culling. And I would hate to see any programs culled, but I would like to see dollar values attached to these programs and then transferred to the decision-making process. If it is something that is going to drain money from the institution, I would vote to cancel it. If it brings money in or carries its own weight, it's something that I see staying. Thank you.
Thank you. So we're going to wrap up with closing comments. Again, each candidate will have a minute and a half, and we're going to begin with Chuck Holloway. Chuck?
Thank you all for taking the time to come out. Thank you, Chamber, for hosting this event. I've seen many changes at Sheridan College over the years. I've seen the new construction, the new cutting-edge programs. I've seen the working relationship with the University of Wyoming just get better and better over the years. In the last few years, I've been stopped several times in grocery stores and restaurants, and I'm asked, what's going on out at the college? I've answered truthfully, I don't know. That's why I'm running for one of the trustee positions. When our boys were young, I would tell them, the Lord gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth. There's a reason for that ratio. I want to be the trustee that is most open to the faculty, staff, and especially the residents of Sheridan County. We are a community college. In my opening remarks, I stated that I'd been on several hiring committees. Everybody at the college is there because they were the most talented and had the best skill sets of the pool to make the educational situation at Sheridan College better. I want to utilize this tremendous resource in the way of suggestions and airing of concerns to be able to bring those to the Board of Trustees and bring a new level of transparency in the decision-making process. The question, what's going on out there, I don't want to ever have to hear again, and I would appreciate your support and votes on November 8th. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll hear from Ward A. Cotton.
I would like to be a trustee because I think I can bring some balance to the program. I think there already is some there. I also have no agenda. Mainly, I just want to serve the community, and I think that's important for me. And I don't like it here where I can't see your faces. That bothers me. So, you know, the college is very important to me, has been very important to my family, and it's important to this community because it provides so much. And through these changes that we're going to go through, and I think there are going to be some drastic ones over the next few years, we're going to need guidance and people that can deal with that and not have a preconceived idea. And I believe I'm one that can provide that. Thank you. I hope you vote for me.
Thank you. Julia T. Garlock.
I feel like Sheridan College is probably going to see some challenges we haven't seen in many years ahead of us. I'm very interested in serving and making sure that the college is here for my grandchildren, should they choose to go. And I think the biggest thing is maintaining, I'm very interested in making sure accreditation is maintained. In all the good programs we have, keeping quality instructors, that is, and continuing to serve the community in everything from arts and sciences to technical studies. So I would feel privileged to serve, I would do my best, and I would work well with other board members.
Thank you. Next, we'll hear from Elaine Olafson Henry.
Thank you. And I said this earlier, that as a former faculty member and department head and then a returning student at my age, I feel like I have a good perspective of all of the views that we have in academia. I love learning. I love education. And when I get on a campus, I just get excited about all of the excitement of learning that is there. And I would feel that it would be a privilege to be on this board and to help to continue the excellence that is Sheridan College, help to strengthen any weaknesses, and just to work for the community in that way. I think we have a great asset in the community, and I would love to be a part of that Board of Trustees, and I appreciate your vote. I have a small handout on the table in the lobby if that would tell you a little bit more about me, and I appreciate you all coming. Thank you.
Thank you. I also want to apologize to Judith McDowell. We do have the end of her letter. I'd like to read this at this time. So the last paragraph that was cut off: as a college board member, I will work to help the college maintain those things that make it shine as an institution, and I also do my best to always have the best interests of our students in mind whenever I vote on an issue before the board. I pledge to do my best for Sheridan College and the Sheridan community. So with that, if you'd please join me in thanking our Sheridan College trustee candidates. Let's try it one last time. Thank you. All right, if we could have our candidates for school district number 3 trustees, please join us from the stage over on your right. All right, so this evening, Wade A. Bentz was not able to attend. I don't have a statement for him at this time, but we'll jump right into intros. So first, we'll start with a 1.5-minute intro from Misty Moore. Misty?
Thanks, Cody. My name is Misty Moore. I've served Sheridan District 3 for 4 years now. I'm currently in the role of vice chair. In my second term, you'll see me firmly advocating for continued local control in administering Sheridan 3. We know our families, our students, our teachers, our administrators, and of course the unique challenges that we face in a rural school district. I'll be looking to be part of a team that gets early literacy right. We know that if we do that we're dramatically improving opportunities for our students down the road. I'll continue to prioritize student and staff mental health, developing a culture that supports a growth mindset, especially in a time when a lot of our families are facing compromised basic needs in a lot of cases. I'm a high school graduate at Arvada Claremont and received my bachelor's and master's at University of Wyoming in American Studies in the honors program. I'm also a sucker for lots of schooling. I consider productive dissent to be a hallmark of my public service thus far, but only as far as it will provide robustly informed and deliberated votes. Sheridan 3 has benefited greatly through conversation and debate regarding topics that have divided boards and communities in the last few turbulent years, but I have seen Sheridan 3 respond to that in incredible ways and become strengthened through that debate.
Thank you. Carissa Prusak?
Hi, my name is Karis Prusak, and I have 2 kids who attend Claremont School. My husband grew up out there, and we recently moved out to our family ranch. And I have a bachelor's degree in athletic training and sports medicine, and my master's in adult and post-secondary education. I currently am a stay-at-home mom with our youngest and help on the ranch, and I own a small business out of our home. I would like to see Claremont be a school where teachers want to stay rather than a school where they're just passing through. I would love to see our conservative beliefs and ensure local influences rather than waiting for our bigger state or federal governments to make those decisions for us. And I'd also like to see a bigger community school relationship than Claremont currently has. I feel like there has been some disconnect there, and I would love to see that grow. And I think that's all, Cody. Thanks.
Great, thanks. Karis, I apologize, I
No.
mispronounced your name.
No
Pretty-
problem. It's common. It happens.
So Karis, you're going to answer this next question first. So outside of funding, what is the greatest challenge you see from being the smallest school district in the state?
Good question. I think that our community is small, but I think there's a lot of opportunities there for us to make, a big splash and make a difference. We're very heavy in agriculture, and our agriculture program has been very strong in the past, and we have a new agricultural instructor this year, and I'm really excited to see what he does with our students. And as far as challenges go, that was a question, right? I think just having the community come together and support those students. I think that's a big struggle that we're having right now.
Thank you. Misty?
Outside of funding, the biggest challenge, you said, for being
Let
the
me-
smallest school in the state?
Yeah, outside of funding, what is the greatest challenge you see from being the smallest district in the state?
Sure. Helping our local communities understand how important it is to be a core for the community and for those far-flung students who live a long ways from anywhere. So making sure that we continue to provide incredibly quality instruction and attracting very qualified instructors, and continuing to just prioritize what I think most schools want to prioritize is just making sure that our students are prepared to launch. So creating a diverse environment for them to choose any number of pathways, from trades schools or owning their own business, or whether that be being on a college path. We just want to make sure that everyone is as prepared as possible.
Thank you. So Misty, you'll start out with this next question. What is your greatest concern for meeting the varied learning opportunities for a small school population?
Would you repeat the question, Cody?
Sure.
Greatest concern?
Greatest concern for meeting the varied learning opportunities for a small school population?
Sure. Small schools are being asked to do a lot with an increasing basket of goods, as we call it. So the legislature continues to ask schools to do a little bit more. And as a school board member, it's my job to advocate up through our local legislators and make sure that they understand what our situation is in Arvada Claremont. So making sure that we keep our local representatives and senators incredibly informed in what we're doing at Arvada Claremont, and making sure that we're doing as much as we can with what we have. So.
Thank you. Karis?
Could you repeat the question as well?
Sure. What is your greatest concern for meeting the varied learning opportunities for a small school population?
I think, like I said, we're heavy in agriculture. I think we are lacking, if you will, in other cultural experiences. But I think that having our teachers being incredibly awesome instructors and giving those kids those opportunities to explore, outside of our small community. My husband never left Sheridan County growing up, and I know a lot of kids are like that, and I think having a small community and incorporating outside culture is going to be a big benefit to them.
Great. Thank you. So this next question, Karis, you'll be answering this first. Student academic performance metrics remain lower than pre-pandemic levels. Where do you believe the focus is needed?
That's a really good question. So I've subbed in the school for about a year now, and so I've had the opportunity to kind of be on the ground with these instructors and see the struggles that they've had with the students. And honestly, I don't really have a good answer to that because, it's a lot like us adults. Like pandemic time was a little bit of, work from home, students work from home. Now they have to be back in the classroom, back at school, and a lot of them have lost that motivation. So how do you teach a student to be motivated to learn again? I think that's the bigger question that needs to be addressed, and I think our instructors at Claremont are doing an excellent job. It's just a big struggle in general. Thank you.
Misty?
Sure. Those targets are going to be really hard to hit. And what we'll focus on is demonstrating growth. So even if we're not at the expected level right now, as long as we're moving that needle over the course of the year. So really focusing on that growth mindset is going to be core, especially when it comes to buoying our instructors and letting them know that we understand they have a really big job ahead of them and they're dealing with an even more diverse student body than before in terms of their needs, and just watching that needle move over time. Secondly, mental health is going to be so important as folks, teachers and students, reintegrate into the classroom.
Great. Thank you. So for this final question, Misty, you'll answer this first. If there's one change you could make in district number 3, what would it be and why?
Oh my goodness. I would probably focus on improving school culture as a whole and really helping students become avid supporters of one another in whatever that journey may be. It's really difficult having such a small student body and having everyone so focused on kind of making sure that everyone is a little bit the same, and an outside perspective is a really hard thing to float in a tiny community. So I would love to see our students encourage one another on whatever path they're on and really focus on that growth mindset again. I would love to see them pat one another's backs and go, you know what, I don't understand it, but I'm really happy for you if it makes you happy.
Great. Thank you. Karis?
Could you repeat the question? Sorry.
Absolutely. If there's one change you could make in district number 3, what would it be and why?
I think Misty has some awesome points. I agree with her. I also, along with the student body, I also think that we need to focus some on our teachers and retention of them so that they can do a better job of not only instructing our students, but engaging in their personal lives. It's not just a face you see, you go home, it's somebody who cares about you, and and that's hard to do when you have a rotating door with instructors like we do in a small community.
Thank you. So we're going to finish up with a 1.5-minute closing statement. Karis, you'll begin.
Okay. So obviously students are always going to be our priority in School District 3, as they should be in every school district. I'd like to really see the success of our students continue to increase along with their motivation and engagement in our educational programs. And I think that along with the other board members, I could really be a benefit and an encourager to our instructors, our superintendent and principal, and the rest of the community.
Great,
Thank
thank
you.
you. Misty?
I'm so excited to see all these candidates on the list tonight, and they have a passion for local service. And I just know that our schools are going to be well served with a large pool. And I encourage everyone to tell their friends and neighbors to get out there and serve and be part of the democratic process. In my role as a school board member, that is my ultimate goal, is that everyone that comes into our meeting and my fellow board members always feel heard and respected, and that includes our community members. If there's something we can do about it, we're going to do something about it. Yeah.
Great, thank you. Please join me in thanking our Sheridan School District Number 3 trustee candidates. Next, if we could have our school district number 1 trustee candidates, please enter the stage from your right. All right, so this evening we had 2 candidates that were unable to attend, William Adsit and Chad Bowling. They did not provide statements for us, but without further ado, let's get into our introductory statements. So each candidate, again, will have 1.5 minutes for their introductory statement. We'll begin with Brian Davidson.
I want to thank the Chamber for giving us the opportunity here. My name's Brian Davidson. I was born and raised in Sheridan, graduated from Sheridan High School, took classes at Sheridan College. I went to work for Heartland Kubota in 1996 when my family started that business, starting at the bottom, working my way, up to managing it now. Gives me a lot of valuable experience, I think, for this position. From budgeting, finances, handling people problems, and finding solutions. I think it's a great experience. So I also am on the board at the Sheridan Motor Association and the Sheridan College Ag Advisory Board Committee as well. I'm running for this office ultimately because of my 3 boys that are in Bighorn School right now. We need to focus on the kids first in all of our decisions. I want to be ready. I want our kids to be ready for the real world when they graduate, not just to have the best scores on tests. I want to ensure that our schools are a place where parents have confidence in what their kids are learning. So thank you, everyone here tonight, and thank you.
Great, thank you. So Gina Kidney.
You did it. Good job. Good evening, and thank you to the Sheridan County Chamber of Commerce for having this event tonight. I really appreciate the opportunity to speak with you. My name is Gina Kidney, and I'm running for the Sheridan County School District Number 1 Board of Trustees. School board. As a certified Wyoming school teacher, a parent, a business owner, a student organization advisor, and currently a community college business officer, I believe that I have relevant knowledge and experience from multiple perspectives that will help me provide strong leadership as a school board member. I chose to run for school board to ensure that kids are placed first in all decisions, at all levels, and in all buildings. Also, to ensure equity of resources throughout the district, to increase transparency at all levels, and to advocate for the most important element of education, and that is the teacher-student relationship. Ultimately, this relationship and its strength has the most significant impact on learning. The focus of the school board and district leadership should be on creating the best possible circumstances for student well-being and learning by protecting the teacher-student interaction, which is critical to building a strong relationship and is necessary to facilitate the teaching and learning process in our classrooms. For this purpose, I seek to fulfill in serving as a school board member.
Thank you. Clint Crum?
Thank you, Cody. My name's Clint Crum. I'm married. I have a wife of 27 years, 2 daughters who I love dearly. And we grew up in Laramie in Wyoming. And when we graduated college, we wanted to come to Sheridan. Sheridan is where we wanted to be. It's where we wanted to raise our children. The schools are great. And we've loved every minute of it. And living in Sheridan, we learned to love the community. The schools are the heartbeats of our small towns. And being part of the school board is part of the heartbeat of our communities, and I want to be there to encourage our communities and our schools through our students. Thank you.
Thank you. Linda E. Malcody?
Malcody, thank you. My name is Linda Malcody. My husband and I recently moved here from Seattle. I am a retired civil servant in the field of budget and finance, accounting, and audit. My husband is a retired engineer from Boeing. We have 3 grown children, each with successful careers. When our children were young, we volunteered for organizations that supported their interests, such as Boy Scouts and ballet, marching band, and science competitions. You might ask then, being new to the community, no education background, no school-age children, why am I running for the school board? The simple answer, I was asked, and I said yes. The complex reason, after just the first day of school, I heard tell of a situation where parents felt they had no voice. Before now, I didn't know much about school boards, except once when we took our Cub Scout son for a citizenship requirement badge. Well, there was another time when we urged the school board to move the kindergarten out of the high school early education program because there was a shooting nearby. Also, the first day of school. But that was Seattle. I have done my homework, and besides the routine governance, I see an important aspect of the school board is to address community concerns. Governance is fairly straightforward: policy, staffing, budget, maintenance, that sort of thing. I believe my fiscal and analytical background qualify me well for that, in that regard. But the other part, addressing community concerns, brings me back to the first day of school. Whether it was the kindergarten, oh, stop.
Thank you. Next, we have Doug Mathis.
My name's Doug Mathis, and I just want to thank the audience for being here this evening and giving us the opportunity to get up here and speak. I live in Ranchester, love the community. I'm running for the simple fact of my 2 boys. Last year, it was a little tedious, little tumultuous to start the year off. I feel that my 2 boys didn't have a voice in what they wanted or what they needed. It comes down to a simple fact that our students need to come first, the parents need to stand up and take a stand, and it's time for someone like myself who wants this. I need to make sure that these kids are taken care of, and that's why I'm running for the school board.
Thank you. Nicholas Sent.
Cody. My name is Nick Zent, and I am running for this trustee position simply to support the mission of the district. The district has a very clear mission statement in that individual success comes through education, and I believe that our district is the best district in the state. I want to continue to help support that and to serve the students in the community in that district. I grew up in Wyoming, and college, undergrad, and graduate school took us out of the state into several different locations across the country, and I've seen what school districts shouldn't be, and I'm excited to be part of a community that supports and flourishes, and their students do as well. I have 4 daughters that are in the Bighorn school system right now in Sheridan. One, and my wife is a special education teacher at the elementary school, and I work from home, and so I have a unique opportunity to have both the time and the resources, which is primarily time, and patience, as well as the willingness and the desire to serve this community and its students. Thank you.
Thank you. So for the next question, Nick, you're going to answer this one first. And this is, how will you ensure that the unique needs of both Bighorn and Tongue River Valley are balanced?
That's a great question. How are the unique needs of both Tongue River and Bighorn balanced? We had a phenomenal volleyball game the other night between Bighorn and Tongue River, and the stadiums were packed. Well, phenomenal on my daughter plays for Bighorn. But the stadium was packed with students and with teachers and parents that come together to support one another, and ultimately it was clear that we are more alike than we are different. And I think the key in supporting both sides of the district is understanding that while we may be rivals on the court, we are one in the classroom, and we are one in terms of community. So balancing the two outside of petty rivalries, I think, is going to be paramount in ensuring that the two can function holistically, and that funding and that opportunities are equal for the students on both sides of the district.
Thank you. Brian?
I think both school districts are, they're definitely unique, but they can work together. I've been on as far as bringing classes and ideas from Tongue River to Bighorn. Both districts work together, principals and stuff work together. So I think I don't know if there's any real hard separation between them. I think they can work together very well, and I think they've already shown that through the board and through the superintendent. Thanks.
Thank you. Gina?
Isn't that the question? We have the weirdest geography for a school district, don't we? I think that we need to remember, all right, this is really what I think. I think we need to remember that equal is not the same. So the schools are different. We are all one district, that's true, but we are different communities, and there are differences in those communities, and I think that has to be taken into account. So you have to listen to your communities and find out what it is they need. And then when you're looking at making decisions for your schools, you need to take a look at that school. You know, you can't say, well, we're gonna do this thing and every school's gonna get it. Well, maybe every school doesn't need it. So I think that it's important to be really in tune to your communities and to the needs of each particular school. And it's hard.
Thank you. Clint?
Thank you. So the unique needs of each district, I also see the unique needs of each individual student, each individual family. Everybody has unique needs. And to recognize those, you kind of, the two schools disappear. They're all unique in individual students, families. I would say, I was at the volleyball game too, Nick. He likes the game a little bit more than I do. But congratulations, Bighorn. And I love the enthusiasm to watch the students from both sides. They give each other hard times. We all stand in the same grocery line together. We all love each other, and it is fun to have two great schools that get to compete with each other.
Thanks. Linda?
Well, I don't know enough about Tongue River yet. I do know Bighorn. We are really impressed with the attitude of learning there because the campus is quiet during school hours. There's no loitering outside or coming in late. So I know that there's an attitude of learning there. My theme is community communication, involvement, and that's what I would need to do with Tongue River.
Thank you. Doug?
I think for me, it's going to start with the school board. There needs to be some parent involvement. There needs to be some transparency, community involvement. We should be invited to these meetings. I know it's open to the public, but you know, when the budget comes out, there should be work meetings. The community should know what's going on. We're the taxpayers. So I think transparency is what is going to be the uniqueness.
Great. Thank you. So next question. Doug, you'll be starting with this response. So the question is, please tell us if you've attended a recent school board meeting and share with us your observations and what changes you'd like to see.
I have attended a few school board meetings. I have not, unfortunately, made it any this year. You know, honestly, I've had some negative, I have some negative thoughts about the school board meetings, especially stemming from the first 3 or 4 last year. It cut me deeply. As a parent that's got 2 kids in Tongue River, and seeing one kid happy and the other kid not happy, and that kid not being able to voice his opinion, you know, I struggle with that. You know, I have to look him in the eyes and say, you know, if you want to do this, I support you 100%. But at the same time, I'm going to support the other son 100%. So they've got my support. The school board meetings have to change. There needs to be more involvement.
Thank you. Nick?
I have attended school board meetings recently. I've been to both the school board meetings this year, and I found them overwhelmingly positive. I found the reports from the administrators to be uplifting and encouraging about the progress that our students are making. I found that parents were given the opportunity to participate. They were highly attended. This week's meeting had, by my count, probably a dozen or more parents in attendance, and they were given the opportunity to voice their concerns or comment, which none of them did, myself included. I think the democratic process is working wonderfully, and I'm optimistic about the future and the progress that our district has.
Thank you. Brian?
I haven't been to some recent meetings, but one of the reasons that I am here tonight was one of the meetings that I went to, and I think the meeting itself was put on well. I respected everybody there. Everybody was given a chance to speak, and it just, the outcome wasn't what I as a citizen wanted from my representation. I didn't feel like I was represented as a majority of the people that were there with the same opinions as mine, and none of those people there were represented by by the staff. So I'd just like to be a voice on that committee, with another point of view.
Thank you. Gina?
So I have had fairly positive experiences at school board meetings as well. They do tend to be well attended, and they do tend to be very positive. I love it when the students get a chance to share what they're doing. I agree that I'd like to see more staff involved and more staff feel like that they could come to a school board meeting and have a voice. I also would love, you always want to see more parents involved. and able to come to a school board meeting and feel like that they can speak openly there. And maybe that is the one thing I would want to see changed, is that I'm not sure that you always feel like you can really state your opinion in the school board meeting. And maybe that's not the appropriate place. But if it's not, do we tell people, do we tell the constituents or the stakeholders where the appropriate place is to share their opinion?
Thank you. Clint?
So for the last 5 years, every 2 weeks, I've attended a work session and an open meeting. The work sessions are open to the public. The meetings are open to public. And when we see our community there, our faculty there, the administrators there, it shows that they care. And it's wonderful to see participation. And we encourage it, and we like to see it.
Thank you. Linda?
Yes, I attended the last school board meeting, and a lot of parents showed up as well, and I think it kind of took people by surprise. They had to get more chairs, which is good, and we did feel very welcome attending the meeting, but Gina kind of answered one of my questions. What's the protocol? When is it appropriate to speak up as a community member? If you have a concern, you don't want to just blindside someone with issues, so that's something that I could see an improvement.
Great. Thank you. And Linda, you'll be answering the next question first.
Well, then I have to write it down.
Give you a little heads up here.
Okay.
So the question is, what do you see as the greatest strength and greatest weakness of the district?
Well, being new here, it's hard for me to really quantify that. Like I said, I really admire the attitude of learning among the students and the welcoming of the board. So it's a learning experience for me. So I don't have anything really concrete yet. My circle is still small. Thanks.
Thank you. Doug?
I think our greatest strength is the kids. I know a couple hundred of them out there in Ranchester, and they're always encouraging each other. My boys encourage their friends encourage them to get into either sports or to strive to be excellent in whatever study they're doing right now, reading, math, anything like that. I think the weakness right now, in my opinion, is going to be the retention of the teachers. I'd like to know why they're leaving. What's causing the teachers to leave? Why can't we keep them in the district? That's the weakness that I see.
Thank you. Nick?
Wow, we have many strengths. We test phenomenally well across the board, and from elementary to high school and standardized testings. We're repeatedly one of the top districts in the state, and that stems from wonderful staff and wonderful teachers that are fully invested in the future of our students and care deeply about their success and their own personal growth. Rather than weaknesses, I'll say our biggest challenge that we have is potentially challenging the state's funding model and how it allocates funds to the district. As a district, we're responsible. The state gives us the responsibility to allocate or to implement education as we see fit, but they don't give us the opportunity or even the ability to raise the funds to do so. And so leveraging the legislature or doing what we can to ensure that the funding model is equitable is our biggest challenge.
Thank you. Brian?
I think our greatest strength is probably our small size. I mean, it's when you have a community this size, it's a lot easier to communicate, keep people informed, get people on the same page. So I think that works as a real advantage to our district, even though it's spread out. I think that's a good strength. And I think our weakness, just what I see is that, we may fall to, not withhold and continue our small town values and what, what this community's done for years is I think one of our weaknesses that we have to be strong and continue to hold those small town values up.
Thank you. Gina?
Wow, that was all good. All of that, I can get behind. Greatest strength, I also think, go to people. I think the students and the teachers in particular, that's the most important piece in your school district, and it really has to be taken care of and protected. So the size of our schools being so small that there is such a low student-to-teacher ratio is just, I think, a huge benefit, and I think is part of the reason that we do test so well. As far as a weakness, did I mention how weird our geography is? So again, just that kind of being one district but serving two communities, I think can be a challenge. And I think that there are definitely ways around it, but it means digging deep and really understanding the communities and the schools and their needs.
Thank you. Clint?
Thank you. Certainly, I agree with everybody on our strengths. We have lots and lots. We could talk all night about our strengths. I think first it goes to parents. Parents who bring these wonderful kids to our schools. And it's part of our community. We have small schools, and that's wonderful. That's also a plus, but also it's part of our weakness. How we are funded, our seats, kids that are in our seats. And that's how we are funded. A smaller school gets funded less per seat. So I'd say discovering a different funding model, like Nick said, is a real goal for school boards across the state. How do we permanently fund our schools without the ups and downs of our economy?
For this final question, Clint, I'll give you the heads up. You're going to answer this first. If budget cuts become necessary, what will be your top consideration for reduction?
It would probably be the salary for a school board member would be the first. That doesn't help much, though, because there's no salary, but the first, as a school board member, first thing you realize is you're one of 5, 20%. And you realize you visit with your team, and you get recommendations from your administrators. They're the experts on how to run our schools. We are the community members that have volunteered to do this. We listen to our administrators, we get as much information, and they'll help with where the reduction is. I don't know where I would make a reduction. There's nothing in our schools I want to get rid of. Thank you.
Thank you. Linda?
Well, I would focus on your academics first and whittle it down from there, but I would not give up on good, solid learning.
Thank you. Doug?
I think for me, it's going to be, Clint, I agree with you. I think it comes down to the administrators, but I also think it comes down to the parents. I think the communication between administrators, parents, and the school board, having meetings, trying to decide what needs to be implemented, what needs to be kept, what needs to be increased. And then you start breaking down your top 3 of what can we live without of this year or next year, whatever it's going to be. But I think it's got to be a total community involvement. It can't just be the administrators or the staff or the teachers or the school board. We need to have parents, the guardians, the grandparents, everybody else involved in that situation.
Thank you. Nick?
I think the college board had an easier question where they could assess a value to a program, and that's very difficult to do in a public school setting. But I have a great example. 2 weeks ago, the middle schools played in KC and in Midwest, and all of the students from both Tongue River and Bighorn met at the Golden Dome to take one bus to that game. And that was a great example of how we need to pay one bus driver and one bus to go and save money, essentially. My daughter got off the bus, and there was no fist fights. There were no, she met 3 new friends. And I think that's a fantastic example of how we can be conscious of savings without sacrificing the value of our education.
Thank you. Brian?
I would say, what we have to consider there, what I would consider is what makes our kids ready for the world when they graduate that high school. What makes them ready to, get a job, go into the workforce, or go, further in academics. That's my opinion, is we've got to have our kids ready to, ready and willing to go out there and get on with their life. And if the budget, gets cut, I would say that's my biggest thing, would be to make sure our kids are ready to survive in the real world.
Thank you. Gina?
So I also would not want to make any budget cuts. Who would want to do that? But the question I would ask, and I would ask a question because I don't know, state funding is a challenge, but is there other funding? So let's not make cuts. Let's see what we can do to explore some options for increasing funding elsewhere. And I honestly don't know what that would be, but I certainly would want to entertain that question before I started to talk about reductions, because I think we're already lean. So I would not want to go there.
Thank you. We're going to wrap up with closing statements. We'll start the statements with Gina Kidney.
All right. So in closing, I would just like to summarize my top priorities, which are to ensure the student well-being and learning, and make sure that that's a priority in all decision-making. Also to provide teachers with the resources needed to help keep the quality of student well-being and learning at its highest levels possible, and to serve as a representative of the communities, both of them, of Sheridan County School District Number 1, to the best of my ability. Thank you for this opportunity to speak with you tonight.
Thank you. Clint Crum?
Thank you, Cody. Before I start, I'd like to thank the Chamber for putting this on. It's a wonderful activity. I would like to continue working on individual success through education. And through that individual success, it reaches out to the community, and every individual of our community, everybody that's in District 1 is part of our schools. They're in the middle of all of our towns, and those kids going to our students reach out to our staff, our parents, grandparents, neighbors, and involving our entire community. It's what we're the most proud of, and to continue that sense of community for our school districts. Thank you.
Thank you. Linda Malcody?
My theme is community involvement, and it's the community's responsibility when they have concerns to bring them to the board, show up to meetings, email, letters, whatever, make phone calls. There are many good people here running tonight for the board, but remember, the school district business is determined by the vote of the trustees. For District 1, that would be 5. So I would say make your voice heard and vote for someone who will vote for you.
Thank you. Doug Mathis?
Well, thank you again to the Sheridan Chamber, all you guys, for being out in the audience, and I appreciate you being here. I'm running again because of my two boys. I'm running for the parents, I'm running for the grandparents, the guardians, the teachers, everybody that needs that voice. I am your conduit. I will be that person. I want you guys at the meetings. I want you to open up. I don't want these 3 minutes. I want 5-10 minutes per parent. Let us know what's going on. We want you involved, and I would appreciate your support.
Thank you. Nicholas Sent?
Thank you, Cody. In the years that we've lived in this district, we've had overwhelmingly positive experiences with educators, with board members, with coaches, with everyone involved in our education process. And I've been privileged to serve as a member of the district accountability group and on several interview panels, and I see how much time and effort our trustees put in to making our district the best in the state. I as a member of the school board, I think my top priorities would be to ensure that our class sizes remain small. I'm proud of the Little Blue School and what it stands for in our district, and I want to keep those values. And my second priority would probably be safety of our students. We have great relationships with the Sheriff's Department, and they continue to serve us very well. And lastly, I'd hope to recruit and retain the best teachers and the best staff in the state, and selflessly serve this community and the students as a member of this great board, and I would appreciate your vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Brian Davidson?
Thanks, everybody, for coming out. It's really good to see the community support this, and I hope you come out and vote as well. I look forward to supporting our current school board. I think they're doing a great job. I just think I could bring some kind of a conservative voice and traditional values to that board, and I think by putting our kids first, and then I'll just use common sense to solve problems that are going to come up. Budgets are definitely going to change, and I look forward to being involved with it and being involved with the community to bring your opinions to the school board and make your voices heard as well. So thank you.
Thank you. Please join me in thanking our candidates for Sheridan School District Number 1. Now we get to use all the tables up here. So if next I could have all of the candidates for Sheridan School District Number 2 trustees, please join us. Oh, please do. Grab it. You want to go for both? All right. Wonderful to see so many candidates up here. We also had a few that weren't able to make it this evening. So Damian Porosky, I hope I pronounced that correctly, and Rebecca Arcaris. So those two weren't able to make it and didn't provide a statement. I do have statements from two other candidates. Ann Perkins is the first statement I'll read. Ann said, when we moved to Sheridan, our oldest son was entering second grade. That summer before school started, the principal of Woodland Park, Janet Marshall, met us to personally give our family a tour and ensure that Garrett felt comfortable starting school that fall. It was then that I knew I wanted to be a part of a district that cared that much about each and every student. That is why I'm running for re-election. I wish I could be with you tonight. I am in Cheyenne presenting 2 sessions at the 2022 Wyoming Suicide Prevention Symposium. I know the voters and other candidates will give grace, knowing what a critical subject suicide prevention is in our state, especially concerning our young people. As a trustee, I do not have the ability to work for one specific group. I have the obligation to serve and am responsible for the well-being of our students, families, teachers and staff, administrators, and community members. To my fellow candidates, I commend each of you because, as President Roosevelt reminds us, the credit belongs to the person who is actually in the arena. Voters, I urge you to check the facts to know what candidates are saying and what they represent. As a public school district, information is available regarding the budget, graduation rates, test scores, and other topics. Our district is audited annually to ensure fiscal responsibility. Take time to look at the things Sheridan County School District Number 2 is doing right. Over my time on the school board, we have had numerous successes in We the People, choir, band, orchestra, FBLA, sources of strength, as well as numerous sports. To recognize that Henry A. Coffeen, the lowest performing elementary school when we moved here 15 years ago, has just been honored as National Blue Ribbon School again. Blue Ribbon schools have gone above and beyond to keep students healthy and safe while meeting their academic, social, emotional, and mental health needs. These schools show what is possible to make an enduring positive difference in students' lives. This is a quote from Secretary Cardona from 2013 when Henry A. Coffeen was awarded their first Blue Ribbon. In closing, I urge all residents in School District 2 to get out and vote. I thank all of the hundreds of families and individuals who supported us through some difficult times, and I urge you to continue that support by marshaling your family and friends to vote on November 8th. Thank you, Ann M. Perkins. Next, I have a statement from Dave Schultz. I'm Dave Schultz, running for trustee for Sheridan County School District Number 2. I would like to thank the Chamber for hosting this event. Unfortunately, I am unable to attend due to a trip that was booked last April. I was born and raised in Casper, attending public schools there for the entire time. I continued my education at Casper College and eventually received an MD degree at Creighton University through a program sponsored by the state of Wyoming. I worked as an anesthesiologist at Sheridan Memorial Hospital for nearly 35 years. My wife and I returned to Sheridan in 1983, where we raised our two sons who went through Sheridan School District Number 2 from the old Highland Park, Central Middle School, and finally Sheridan High School. Their education here was second to none in Wyoming. While they were in school, I was active in various school activities. Now that my grandson has started in Sheridan School District 2 in the new pre-K program at Woodland Park, I want to ensure that his and his sister's education will be as good or better than his dad's, so I decided to run for the board. I believe that the schools in Sheridan remain at the top of the state, and I want that to continue. I come with no agenda. I believe that looking back at the last 2 years and attempting to relitigate it is a waste of time and money. That could be better used for our kids' education. Instead, we need to look forward and do all that we can to ensure that our schools continue to thrive. One of the top priorities I see is that we engage with the legislature to make sure our schools are fully funded. As state revenues will certainly fall over the next decade, it is imperative that we are proactive with our legislators and ensure that the basket of goods for our schools remains a top priority of theirs. Our school district has always prepared the college-bound students well. However, those not on that track were often neglected. That has improved a lot over the past 10 years, but we need to go even further. The John Schiffer Collaborative School is a good example of the progress the district has made. Another important issue is that all students must be made to feel safe in our schools. Bullying has been an issue forever, even when I attended schools decades ago. I realize that it will most likely always be here, but we have to continue to work hard as a board to ensure that students have an avenue to address it and not suffer in silence. So next we'll go to opening comments. Again, just a reminder, you have a minute and a half to answer. We'll start with Jay Calentine.
Thank you. My name is Jay Calentine, and I'm a husband, a father of 5 kids ages 11 to 2 months old. I've been in real estate for 19 years and have been a director of the Board of Realtors since 2019. I'm an active member of my church and my community. I have donated my time and efforts to many organizations such as Habitat for Humanity, Christmas in July, the Salvation Army, MDA, Trees for Trash, many local church ministries, and I coach youth basketball and football. I was born and raised in Sheridan and attended school here from K to 12 and also attended Sheridan College. While my career is in real estate and not in the school system, I believe my experience lends itself well to the duties of the board. I'm a good listener. I treat people with respect. I handle negotiations daily while keeping things calm and focused. I sincerely care for the well-being of the people I'm serving and will always put their interests first. The board has had to deal with some really tough issues recently. and they have done their best to do what is right for the students and faculty. However, I feel they have forgotten to listen to the concerns of the people that put them there in the first place, the parents. I believe the proof of this is apparent on this stage tonight. In 2020, there were 7 candidates running for 5 spots. Tonight, we have 15 running for only 4 spots. People feel like they are not being heard, and I'm here to give them a voice.
Thank you. Chip King.
Thank you, Cody. I'd like to thank the Chamber, and I'd also like to thank the WYO and the WYO staff for being here, or we all would be sitting in the dark, talking into microphones that nobody could hear us. I was born and raised here in Sheridan. I graduated from Sheridan High School. My daughter just recently graduated from Sheridan High School and is now attending University of Wisconsin in Oshkosh, only after attending Sheridan College. My grandmother was a teacher in what is now Sheridan School District Number 2. My mother-in-law is a retired teacher from Sheridan School District Number 2, and my wife is a current teacher in School District Number 2. My mother-in-law, father-in-law, wife, myself, and my daughter all graduated from Sheridan High School. So I would like to continue that growth from when my grandmother was here through my daughter, through my wife, supporting the teachers, supporting the students, and continuing to help grow this school district to even the next level. Thanks, Cody.
Thank you. Michael Lansing.
Thanks, Cody. I'm a father of 6, a third-generation Sheridanite. My wife and I both graduated from the Sheridan schools here. I got my BS degree in finance from the University of Wyoming. After that, I followed it up with an MBA and a law degree also from the University of Wyoming. I'd like to say right now, go Pokes. I'm also a lawyer. I've represented 2 other school districts in the state, both Natrona and the Glen Rock School District, when I lived in Casper before moving back home. I've also represented many teachers, staff, and parents in legal actions in both Casper as well as here. I am pro-parent, pro-student, pro-teacher. Why am I running for school board? I professionally and personally viewed a lack of due process and transparency in the current administration and board. When I, along with other parents, appeared in front of the current board, the procedures of gathering information to make an informed decision was absent. The board on many occasions had already made up their mind and only allowed for limited comments. That's not the way to run a board. The proper way is to gather information from all sides, openly discuss, vote, and most importantly, explain the vote and show full transparency, not in a work session, but in an open public meeting. I was a county administrator before going to law school. I saw the process work at the county, where we allow both sides to give both sides of the debate. Thank you. I saw the stop.
Thanks. David Myers.
Hello. I'm not originally from Sheridan, one of the few apparently, but I've been here since 2011. I was born in Lansing, Michigan. I went to public schools there, so I know the difference between a big city public school and how great we've got it here in Sheridan. I am a veteran of the U.S. Navy. I got my BS from Michigan State University in Fisheries and Wildlife Management, and I got my MS in Aquatic Ecology and Zoology from Southern Illinois University, Carbondale. As I said, I've lived in Sheridan since 2011, and prior to that, I lived in Rawlins and Kemmer, and I can tell you Sheridan is much better than both of those. I am a parent. I'm married, and I'm a parent of 2 kids, one who is currently attending the junior high and one who will be starting in kindergarten next year. So why am I running? Well, I'm running because the numbers don't lie. District 2 has great schools, evidenced by our most recent Blue Ribbon winner, and congratulations to Coffeen on that. I've watched my stepdaughter since kindergarten get a great education, and I want to protect that and keep moving forward with the current board, who I think has done a wonderful job during some really challenging times in the last couple of years. During the time when there's been a lot of learning loss in various parts of the country. We've had some here, but our teachers have been very dedicated, and they've done a good job keeping the kids learning, so that's why I'm running. Thanks.
Thank you. Shelta Ramber?
Hi, I'm Shelta Ramber. I humbly ask for your vote November 8th. I'm a graduate of SHS and the University of Mary. I am a wife, mother, and businesswoman. I have been an active parent volunteer throughout the years. My community involvement includes volunteering, fundraising for various nonprofits, being a MOPS member, a Woodland Park PTO secretary and president, Sheridan Swim Team Board vice president and president. I'm running to put students first. I want to make the district motto, preparing every student with the skills, knowledge, and attitudes needed for success, is fulfilled. In order to do that, it will require parents back in the buildings, having their voices heard. Somewhere along the way, parents took a back seat in involvement in their children's education. For many, they felt like their voices were silenced. I want to encourage parent and teacher partnership, working towards one collective goal, the best education for our children. People are voting for me to ensure that there is accountability and transparency with board meetings, policies, and funding. People are voting for me because I will be a good steward of taxpayer dollars. Also, I will hear the issues that need addressed and find solutions by making time, space, and compromise for the public. People are voting for me because I will be proactive, not reactive, on the issues the district faces. Thank you.
Thank you. Brian Roberts?
Hi, I'm Brian Roberts, and I'm running for Sheridan County School District 2. I'm also not from Sheridan, which seems kind of rare up here, but I did the next best thing, and I married somebody who is from Sheridan, so I guess I can hopefully say I am from here, kind of. My kids are from here, I guess. But anyway, I'm running because I do believe that the school district here is actually great. My family has traveled all across the United States. I was in the Air Force right out of 2 years of college, which also was a community college, so without that I would not have gotten a 4-year degree. But I was in the Air Force, was in Mississippi, and so I got to see the public education system down in Mississippi, and then I moved to back to Kansas, which is where I'm originally from, and then saw the public education system there, which isn't horrible, but not as good as Sheridan. And then I lived in Nebraska, where we left a lot to be desired. And then once we actually moved here, saw how great the school system is here and really liked it. It really did well for our family. And I'd like to keep that going. I'd like to see the school system stay strong, and I want to fight for that, and that's why I'm running. So, thank you.
Great. Thank you. Sarah Smothers?
First, I want to thank the Chamber for putting this on tonight. My name's Sarah Grasky Smothers. I'm a registered nurse with a bachelor degree from California State University in Chico, California. I'm a wife and I'm a mom. The 3 biggest reasons that I'm running for this position are my 3 daughters. They're in 7th grade, 5th grade, and recently in the new pre-K program offered at Highland Park. My husband and I grew up in Sheridan, but we both moved away after high school. Once we started our own family, we realized that there was no place on earth like Sheridan to raise our kids, so we came back here. We debated about putting our kids in private schools because I attended a private elementary school in town, but we thought to ourselves, Sheridan public schools are amazing. Let's just put our kids there. So that's the route we took. I started attending the school board meetings during the pandemic. I heard parents complain about the policies that were implemented and lack of being heard. I saw that a lot of people were upset, but a few were willing to take action. So I just really don't have it in my makeup to sit by and watch our schools fall prey to the issues that are happening in schools across the country. I want to see good old-fashioned learning take place in the schools. I want to see us getting back to the basics of reading, writing, science, and math. I want to see parents and teachers working together.
Thank you. Thank you. Stephanie Stocker?
Hi, I'm Stephanie Stocker. I am the mother of 2 and a creative director, and I believe that our public schools are one of our community's greatest treasures. I grew up here in Sheridan and am an active and proud product of District 2. I hold a degree from Art Center College of Design in Environmental Design and Spatial Experience and completed MBA coursework in Strategic Product and Service Development at INSEAD in Fontainebleau, France. I have spent the last 15 years shaping and reimagining global and iconic brands such as Disney, Hasbro, and Yahoo. Currently, I'm a creative lead at Twitter. As a creative director, my expertise realizes a holistic vision. From formulating a solid strategy and collaborating with many voices to ensuring alignment and measurable results. My career has always centered on fostering and building strong communities, whether creating solid brand strategies, events or experiences, or building physical spaces that promote and encourage engagement. I believe that schools are an experience, not just a place. As an active parent with students in District 2, an experienced designer, and a member of this community, I bring a skill set, a needed point of view, and a passion for being unified, agile, and innovative in supporting our teachers and caregivers and responding to what works best for our children. I look forward to building safe and welcoming environments for everyone who steps through a door at Sheridan County School District 2.
Thank you. Nancy Stevens?
In 2016, 8 candidates ran for 5 school board seats. In 2018, 5 candidates, 4 seats. In 2020, 7 candidates, 5 seats. In 2022, 15 candidates, 4 seats. It's clear many are wanting a change. I am running because I want to see our teachers better supported. A quality education cannot happen unless we hire and retain the best educators. I see teachers nationwide leaving the field, and I say no, not in District 2. We cannot lose one teacher due to lack of support or inadequate resources. I am running because I have watched a change in our schools nationwide, from teaching the fundamentals to introducing CRT and woke ideology. I see this shift and I say no, not in District 2. We will educate our students, teach them how to think critically, and instill in them a love of learning without an agenda. I am running because I see parents respectfully advocating for their children, and I say yes, you are your child's first advocate. I am running because I see the district's $48 million budget and ask, are we putting our money where our priorities are? Are we prepared for restrictions placed on federal funding? My name is Nancy Stevens. I'm a mom to 4, wife of 15 years, and regular school board meeting attender. I affectionately refer to Sheridan as the promised land. We have the best schools, the best teachers, the best students, and this vote determines our future.
Thank you. Stephen Tremaine?
Excuse me. Good evening. Thank you for the invitation. My name's Steve Tremaine, running for the board. I have not been here my whole life. I transferred from the West Coast in 2018, in the summer specifically. I'm currently employed as a finance officer. I have a master's in business and an engineering degree. My background has always been and will be the continuing love of education. I've seen schools prosper and I've seen schools decline. Coming from the West Coast, it's obvious that parents and the board together make the difference in where schools go and the directions they take. I'm running because over the last few years, I've heard stories and anecdotes of problems with the school board and how things were being treated, especially with COVID, put the elephant on the table. COVID was a divisive issue. It is now behind us, but we're headed into future uncertain water. We have inflation. We have rising prices rapidly. We do not have rising wages. Taxes are going to be an issue. Funding is going to be an issue. I'm running because you need sane, clear thinking to navigate those waters and come out with a solution that's going to engage parents, the teachers, and the success of our children.
Thank you. Erin Waddell?
Thank you, Cody. I am a parent. My husband and I have raised our 3 children here on purpose. 2 of them are attending top universities, standing on the very foundation they received from SESD2, and our youngest is thriving at Sheridan High. We believe in public school education. The academic successes of our 3 are proof that this district sets a very high bar. I am a community leader. 12 years ago, with friends in my church, I helped to found the Food Group, a nonprofit that nourishes hundreds of our most vulnerable children. Kids can't learn if they're hungry. The impact of this effort can be felt throughout all of Sheridan County. The families we feed are our neighbors and our future. I am a champion for all children. From launching the Academics Above celebration, which honors the brightest students at Sheridan High, to wrestlers, soccers, football players, to the Big Brother, Big Sister program, I cheer for all of our Bronx, the brawn, the brain, and the band too. I am an educator and a professional. I have taught art to kids at Sage and adults at Sheridan College. I believe that all children, all 3,619 of them, not just my 3, deserve a great public school education. Every single one of them must be seen and supported. We must row hard together as parents, educators, professionals, engaged citizens, and elected leaders. And I am a current trustee, and I will continue to work hard for you.
Thank you. So we'll now enter our question section. Aaron, you'll be starting answering the first question. So the first question, what do you believe is the most critical opportunity or threat to our educational system?
I guess I would say that our greatest threat is the lack of critical thinking for all of us, adults, parents, kids. When we really know how to analyze an issue, I think that's really important. Critical thinking, not just digesting opinions. So I think critical thinking is and lack thereof is a threat. I think the opportunity we have is with our beautiful children and how they work with our faculty and staff. They are our greatest resource, and they are our future. And so that would be our greatest opportunity.
Thank you. Jay?
I believe teachers leaving is the biggest threat that we have facing us right now. It's been a rough go for them lately. Mental health, with the pandemic, some of them not liking the way things have been going. We have to find a way to rally around them, support them, and find ways to keep them here because they are what make our school district what it is.
Thank you. Chip?
You know, I'm gonna echo a little bit of what Jay said. Teachers leaving this past couple of years, students not only have lost some ground with virtual learning, being at home, not being around their friends, but the teachers have lost ground as well. And so getting that support back for students, first and foremost, for teachers, we need to be able to challenge our students so the students can grow within the classroom. We need to support our teachers so the classroom itself can thrive. But yeah, I think teachers, that challenge of teachers leaving and just trying to make up for the time that everyone was away from each other.
Thank you. Michael?
Thank you. I'd like to focus more on a critical threat, probably to our district more than others. Nobody's surprised in the audience or at this table, Sheridan is growing. We are growing in diversity. I do a lot of real estate law, and there's people moving in from all over, as you can even tell by the people here today. And as those people grow, our student population is also going to grow. And so how are we going to deal with that in the physical assets that we have, in the number of teachers, addressing that issue in light of maybe a same or even smaller budget, and how do we balance those two to ensure that the teachers are taken care of, well paid, and that the classroom size does not grow, and that we have those physical assets to provide.
Thank you. David?
Yes, thanks. I actually agree with everything that's been said already, but I'm going to go in a slightly different direction. So I think that a threat currently to our schools all over the state is our funding. Our legislature continually gets data that says that we need to fund our schools at the level that they're being funded now or higher, but our mineral revenues are starting to dry up, so we have to make a decision as a community and as a state about what's important to us. How much do we really want a fully funded public school system? So I think that's a threat. I think an opportunity is that one thing I've seen Sheridan District 2 doing lately is trying to meet kids where they are as far as learning, because kids learn differently, and I've seen teachers be very innovative in the way that they're delivering the education to the children, and I really appreciate that, and I think expanding on that and engaging teachers to do more of that is a great opportunity for our district.
Thank you. Shelta?
I believe the number one challenge that schools are facing today is critical theory, identity politics, pornography disguised as affirming educational books, and the behaviors that all of this fosters. It's driving a divisive wedge into our schools. This must be stopped. Our schools are the glue that holds our small community together. The school is where everyone has common ground, regardless of politics, religion, or anything else. We must come back together as a community for our children. We must get parents back into the schools. It makes a difference in a child's life when their adults and their teachers have a partnership in their education. We must support individualized traditional learning. Abraham Lincoln said, "The philosophy in the schoolroom in one generation will be the philosophy in government in the next." Thank you.
Thank you. Brian?
Yeah, so I think the biggest challenge that we currently see right now is probably behavior at school. I think any kid and probably most teachers would tell you the same thing. And I think that that's also our biggest opportunity, because I see the school district is got PBIS going, and I think that's a good step in the right direction towards that. I think that we could do some more in the future after we see the results of this implementation. And honestly, I think that some of the things that one of our challenges is people conflating things like woke education, CRT, all these things, and saying that like we're indoctrinating our kids, because I think any teacher in this district will tell you that that's not happening, and that conflating those two things together is like setting us backwards when it comes to like these subjects like bullying and like just being more accepting of people's different lifestyles in the community. That's all.
Thank you. Sarah?
Well, I agree with most of everything that was said. I think one of the biggest issues that is facing school districts these days is straying away from the classical tenets of education, the reading, the writing, the math. We are implementing programs that maybe have no business being in schools, that don't really focus on the actual education of the children, and I think that in turn plays a role in children's behaviors in our schools, and teachers feeling supported. These programs put extra work onto our teachers, and they're not able to do what they do best, is educate our children. They're too busy doing all of this side work instead of getting down to the basics.
Thank you. Stephanie?
Thank you so much for this question. I don't know if this is the biggest challenge, but something that I'll speak to, I also believe is the greatest opportunity. I believe teacher satisfaction and retention are some of the biggest challenges that are facing our district at this time. The unprecedented events over the last few years have caused ripples throughout the school system and the community, and aside from our children, those most affected have been our educators. Excellence in the classroom is a standard and not a goal, and it begins with excellent educators. And I believe that our teachers are the cream of the crop. We should continue to be proactive to make Sheridan School District 2 an attractive and sought-after location to be an educator, to actively cultivate supportive and respectful relationships between students, educators, and their caregivers, and to ensure that District 2 provides an environment of educational and personal growth for all of our teachers.
Thank you. Nancy?
Yes, I agree with a lot of what is said, and the biggest challenge and threat and opportunity at the same time is the teacher turnover that we're seeing. I think nationwide, when you look, you see teachers leaving the field for a myriad of different reasons. At the September board meeting, it was noted that our teacher turnover rate was consistent with the past 4 years. And while I don't think that we might see those numbers right now, I think that we need to be looking at the storm clouds on the horizon before the hurricane hits. And what does that look like as a board? I think sitting down with our teachers and saying, how can we best support you? What are the biggest challenges that you're facing in the classroom? Is it administrative things that we're requiring of you? And if so, can we take those off of your plate? No district or no teacher should believe that they are not supported. Sheridan has the best teachers, and I will stand on that, and we need to do everything we can in our power to support them.
Thank you. Steve?
Yes, we have fantastic teachers, and we need to give them the flexibility to hit their targets, hit the goals, the curriculum they're after, and let them have the flexibility to tailor it to the children that are in their courses, to empower them to do that. I think that we have a wonderful community, and if we do lose teachers, we can attract the best talent from other communities because Sheridan is a wonderful place to live. I think the biggest threat we have is a bit of a reflection of the number of candidates here. We have a schism between parents and the board, the parents not being heard, the board not openly discussing the issues. That needs to get closed so that there is a tight community and we're all moving in the same direction as an entire town and aligned with our other school districts.
Thank you. Fair warning, Steve, the next one's coming to you. You get to answer this question first. So, what current budget line item do you feel requires the greatest scrutiny and why?
We spend, I think it was reported, a little over $14,000 per student. My back in the envelope was $16,000, depends on the number of students. As many of the other candidates have said, the core tenets of the school is reading, writing, arithmetic, the basics. We need to make sure that we protect that and prepare our students for the future. Beyond that, we need to encourage them to expand their horizons, to learn foreign languages, to art and music. If the time comes where we have to start cutting budgets, we're going to have to look seriously at the non-core items and figure out how to maximize the output, if you will, from each of those other courses. Maybe it's a slightly larger class size, maybe it's one section gets shut down, but figure out how do we manage and deliver the best quality education to our students at the right budget. And again, it's going to involve parent feedback. What do we want to see as a community?
Thank you. Erin?
We just went through an audit. Over 500 hours went into this audit. The audit was completely clean. We have an amazing budget. It's a balanced budget. We have an amazing team, great leadership in our administration, and we were the very first school district to submit our audit ahead of 8 other school districts. They turned over every stone, including the ESSER funds, the ARPA funds, so it was both the federal and our state funds. I believe that any of you could look at any single item in our budget and with it would be perfectly clean. I'm very proud of our team.
Thank you. Jay?
I believe we need to keep the dollars in our classroom first and foremost. We can't cut teachers. They are the ones responsible for the blue ribbon schools that we have. I think we have to look at the programs that are the highest cost and provide the return. It's not an easy thing to cut anything because we really do have such a great school district, but yeah, I think we have to keep our dollars in the classroom.
Thank you. Chip?
Boy, who wants to cut anything out of a school district budget? Sheridan School District number 2 has consistently had high-performing schools, teachers, students, and it's because of the funds that we put into those schools, keep in those schools. Unfortunately, we don't have the capacity that Sheridan College has to do a true cost analysis to cut this program or cut that program. All of us have to trim budgets at home, and just sitting down, and it is going to take the hard decision. Sitting here, I was a product of drama, theater, and music, so I'm going to say cut football, but that's not where that's not how you do it. And so just sitting down and involvement of the board and the parents.
Thank you. Michael?
I'm glad you finished that with don't cut the football. Even though I have a child that left football and went into band, so I get it. And we're going to have a marching band starting up for the first time after, I think, a 20-some year hiatus. I know that was not your question, but I have two kids that one just graduated and one is currently at Schiffer. And I see at Schiffer, they have a low pupil to student to teacher ratio, and you see these kids that were maybe in trouble, having difficulties in normal education thrive. That's great, and that takes money. So if we had to cut the budget, I think we'd have to seriously sit down and have long discussions with the teachers, with the administration, and with parents to figure out where can we tighten it up. It's going to be hard. I hope we don't have to come there. But if we can do anything to keep that teacher to student ratio from going up, that'd be the most important thing to me.
Thank you. David.
Yeah, thank you. Well, one of the things that, I'm going to harp on our budget again as a state. One of the things that our legislature is fond of saying is kicking the can down the road every time they talk about funding our schools. And this most recent couple of years, they've been bailed out by all the pandemic spending that's been pumping out of Washington, unfortunately. So things are looking pretty good right now in our budget, but we're only a couple of years, if that, away from them saying 10% across the board cuts again. And I don't want us to get to that position because, like everybody up here, I don't want to see any of our great programs that are serving our students get cut. So what I would like to see is our legislature seriously lead and take a good look at the budget and see how we can fully fund our public school system. Thank you.
Thank you. Shelta?
Side note, I looked at the budget and I just want to let you all know that activities are safe. Money out, they bring same money in. Just a little side note for you. I'm going to answer the question with a whole bunch of questions. Every district has a local control over their budget. The legislature determines how much each district gets per student, and it's a year-over-year raise that they give. It's a guaranteed raise. It is the board who decides where the money goes. The current budget is $48 million. It's a $14,209 per student. Most of this is spent on staff salaries and benefits. As a trustee, I will ensure transparency, be a good steward of taxpayer dollars. I will do this by asking the difficult questions. Are we top heavy in this district? Can our budget be allocated more efficiently? What can be cut? Can we turn away federal tax dollars if it comes with strings attached? What is the need that is not being addressed and why? Thank you.
Thanks. Brian?
So it's kind of a hard question to ask, right? Or answer at least, because like everybody said, you don't really want to cut anything, right? Like you just want to get more money to give higher, education, better education to your students. But honestly, I don't know like what you'd want to scrutinize more. I mean, if you want to cut something, it's hard to tell. But if you just want to scrutinize something, I'd say I would talk to the people who work in the building and just see what they think. I mean, if we have to cut 10%, across the board, I mean, everybody's going to have to feel that pinch, right? Like, we're not just going to say we're going to cut one department's budget. We're not just going to cut art. We're not going to cut band, the music programs, I hope. So that's what I'd like to see happen, but who knows? I mean, hopefully that won't come to fruition. Hopefully we can keep putting money away. We went to the last board meeting in September, and they put about, I think, $4 or $5 million into our coffers. So hopefully we won't have to see that as a problem in the near future. So that's what I hope.
Thank you. Sarah?
I don't think that there's one particular item that needs more scrutiny than the others. I think a responsible board goes line by line through every item in the budget and prioritizes what is truly important. And I think we need to make sure that we're spending our money close to where the students are, keeping teachers in the classroom, again, focusing on where the students are. Maybe the district doesn't need to update the administration building or issues like that. Another thing that could happen is renegotiating contracts, looking at the health insurance, do things like that to make sure that we're getting the best rates, because health insurance, as we all know, that's a large chunk of money, and most of our budget is towards the human resources, the staff, their benefits, that sort of thing.
Thank you. Stephanie?
I do not believe that it is my place right now to provide you a line item of what would be cut, but in terms of how we spend our dollars and allocate our budget, I do think we need to be fiscally responsible to maintain the strict discipline that the current budget priorities that were set by the current Board of Trustees. I think we can continue to be conscious and analytical in all of our expenditures, to be clear of what, when, how, and why we are spending money, and never to be shy to ask questions or question the status quo. And I also think, and probably most importantly, we need to remain really open-minded and clear in our long-term vision. And that might mean reorganizing and making changes when shifts needs to be made, and being creative and flexible with how we diversify our spending. And that might mean investing more in things now that would yield a better outcome down the line.
Nancy?
I think I could upset people if I said one line item that needs to be cut, because I really truly think the district has done a great job of knowing exactly how we're spending that money. It's a $48 million budget, as Aaron touched on. I was there in the meeting when they presented those numbers to the board, and it is incredible how detailed it is down to the very dollars spent. I think what we need to do as a board is to realize that education is the focus. And so when we're prioritizing money and keeping it in the classroom, that is going to take priority over other things. Everything is good, everything is beneficial to our students, but if there's something that we have to cut that either limits education or access to the classroom, for example, busing kids that live in areas that are further out, that is an access to education in the classroom, and that's a thing that needs to be kept. It's very hard, but I think we need to look at it more than just the 4 years that we're elected and have a greater vision.
Thank you. Nancy, you'll be answering the last question first here. So the question is, school boards function as an extension of the state and are greatly constrained by statute and policy. What is a primary concern you have in balancing state and community needs?
That's great. So I think what we need to recognize is what the role of the board is, and that's to represent the community. And I think that's really been lacking the past couple years. I've been to school board meetings where there are 9 people, and I cannot remember one time that I heard a vote in opposition to anything. And if that's the case, then how does our community know that our board is representing us? Most of us here in Sheridan would not all agree on one issue and come forward unanimously. So I think there is a good time to have good discussion, critical thinking, and come to the table differently.
Thank you. Steve?
Repeat the question, please.
Sure. School boards function as an extension of the state and are greatly constrained by statute and policy. What is a primary concern you have in balancing state and community needs?
So, in research, as part of the decision to run or not, I read some of the policies. And there are policies in place that go above and beyond what the state statute requires. I think in the future, we're going to have divisive social issues come down the pipe that are going to have to be decided. I'd rather have policies in place that mirror what the state requires, that protect our students, protect the board and the teachers. However, I would like to see common sense used when applying these policies. I think that's lacking, and I agree with what Nancy has said here. We need to be prudent and listen to parents and have open discussions, not closed-door executives' decisions, which are parroted back and unanimously approved.
Thank you. Aaron?
Yes, thank you. So it's really a complicated question, right? The state versus our local community. SESD2 is one of the top performing districts in the whole state, and also the leanest, as was mentioned, at just over $14,000 per ADM. So that's difficult at a state level, right? We have to balance between, for example, all of you who are here to support SESD3, which is one of the most expensive per ADM districts in our state and the most rural. So it's a very difficult question. The other thing is we have testified, because we are a top performing school district in front of the state. around literacy. We're leading the entire state in literacy. Not every other district can do that. So what does the state do when we provide this information and the rest of the state is trying really desperately hard to play catch up? So it's a real balance.
Thank you. Jay?
Cody, will you repeat the question again?
Certainly. School boards function as extension of the state and are greatly constrained by statute and policy. What is a primary concern you have in balancing state and community needs?
The biggest thing I feel is I'm afraid of the board having the power to make a lot of issues with the social issues and some of the policies that they have been making when it hasn't been in favor of the people that got them here. I believe they've overreached a bit, and I just, yeah, that's it.
Thank you. Chip?
I think it was said by both Steve and Nancy down there. Unfortunately, we have to balance common sense and the state government, and unfortunately, common sense isn't a flower that grows in everyone's garden. Thanks. So I think taking the approach, yes, we're a community. The board has been elected to govern those funds, to have that control, and because we're such, Sheridan is not a huge community, so having that common sense, bringing common sense together, sure, there are going to be differences. There are going to be differences of opinion, but to be able to sit down and bring a little civility and common sense to the solution.
Thank you. Michael?
Thank you. The difference is the state statutes really govern all the districts. They're written up by the legislature. If there's something wrong with them, they need to be changed. The state statutes govern, but most of the policy is made locally. And so the policy is where the gray area comes, where we need to listen to the teachers and to the parents and to the students, be open in the communication, and hear them in creating policies. There is that gray area out there, and we need to make strong policies. In dealing with the teachers I've dealt with both professionally and personally in conversations with this, many times they're told in issues that are concerning to them that it's a case-by-case basis. That's a situation that could turn bad quickly for the district and for that teacher. They need to set policies, and those policies not only just need to be sent by an email and communicated to them, they need to be explained why they were implemented. Thank you.
Thank you. David?
Yes, thank you. I believe that the state's only concern should be that our students are getting an equal and adequate education, which is constitutionally guaranteed in the state of Wyoming, and that our students are meeting standards. Beyond that, the local, the board, is a reflection of the community and a reflection of the community's values. That's this democratic process. That's why there's so many candidates up here for so few seats. So if we're meeting the standards that I mentioned before, then the state needs to just get out of the way. Thank you.
Thank you. Schultz?
So I'm just going to echo what Michael said. The state sets statutes. The board follows the statutes. The board sets the policy. I believe that the board needs to represent the taxpayer because that is the duty of the board, and the policies need to be set to the community standards. I think that our teachers are doing an amazing job. They are in the top of the state for our students. I see that we need some improvements on graduation rates. And I think that the challenge is not through the state dictating to the school district. It is the board listening to the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Brian?
And I'd agree with what Aaron said and what David said. I was actually going to talk about the literacy because it seems like we lead the state, and then the state came out with a couple of programs, I think, that we had to either choose from or we had to give them our own program, if I'm not mistaken, of what we're doing to be so successful. And I think that seems kind of backwards. It seems like they should be taking notes from our district because we're so successful. But that's one of the things that I just noticed, that it just feels like that we should be giving all of our successes to the state so they can give it to the least successful districts and not necessarily the other way around. And that's what I feel. So,
Thank you. Sarah?
Again, to echo what has already been said a little bit, the state sets the laws. The school board is the one who creates the policy that should reflect both the law and what the community and the taxpayers who the board is supposed to represent. It should reflect their values. And if it doesn't, then we work with our local representative to advocate some legislature that maybe does incorporate more of what our community values are. Another thing that when the community and the policies maybe don't agree, we need to have more dialogue, maybe open town hall meetings where the community can come in and actually have a conversation with the school board, and the school board can explain why this policy was created. And then maybe, and vice versa, the community can have more of a chance to have their input in the policy.
Thank you. Stephanie?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Certainly. School boards function as an extension of the state and are greatly constrained by statute and policy. What is a primary concern you have in balancing state and community needs?
We are the experts in our community. We live here, we are members of the community, and I believe that we have the ability to be agile and flexible in how we translate what the state is looking for and what we bring to our community. I would approach it the same way I would approach any challenge, is to first make sure that we gather all the relevant knowledge from experts, relevant data, have clear and open dialogue with our community members, caregivers, teachers, and then act as a unified body in creating a course of action as a board of trustees that acts in the best interest of the community, ensuring the enriching education, safety, and well-being of all of our students as a whole.
Thank you. We'll now hear closing remarks. So each candidate will have 1.5 minutes for closing remarks. We'll start with Stephanie Stocker.
Thank you. I would like to thank the Sheridan Chamber of Commerce for hosting this forum, the other candidates with me here on stage, and in particular, the audience members, both in person and on the live stream, for your shared interest in the future of our district. I believe the mindset focused on a singular issue keeps you from a holistic perspective. And to that end, I do not come at this with an agenda. What I do have is a vision that our schools continue to be a welcoming and enriching educational experience, and that District 2 will continue to empower and prepare our children and educators to achieve any dream. I have an open mind, an eagerness, and a willingness to learn, and I will never stop calling myself a student. I have experience through my education, training, and hard work. I have become a leader in my field, a field that's rooted in being an agile and innovative thinker at solving complex challenges with many voices. And I have a vested interest in the policies, direction, and outcomes of many of the topics we discussed here tonight. After living and working across 5 continents, my husband and I made the conscious decision to raise our family in my hometown of Sheridan, wholeheartedly embracing the community and school system that helped shape me. We are excited that our son kicked off his educational journey last year at Meadowlark Elementary and will be part of the SHS graduating class of 2034. Our daughter will follow, graduating in 2038. I have had the unique opportunity to benefit from our forward-thinking school system as a student, community member, and now as a parent. The responsibility to act as a voice and to continue to push our district forward is a challenge that's humbling and I don't take lightly. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Nancy?
Thank you to the Chamber for hosting this event and to the audience for joining us and those who are going to be watching online or in the coming month. For the past 2 years, you could have found me seated in the audience at the SCSD2 Administration Building at 6 p.m. on the first Monday of the month. There are a few on this stage who can say the same. I have booked flights back to Denver so that I could make a board meeting up in Sheridan. Long before a run for school board became a reality, I was invested in District 2 education. I have experience as a district parent, community member, and educator to my own children. I am steady, dependable, and will stand firm in my convictions as I listen to the community we are elected to represent. One of the roles of our local school board is to be the voice of the community, and I have been listening. I am committed and dedicated to preparing every student with the skills and the knowledge needed for success. I am quick to listen, slow to speak, respectful of others, and a critical thinker. I will devote the time and attention needed as I educate myself on matters that come before the board. You can learn more about me at nancystevensyourvoice.com. If you want a voice, if you want action, and if you want accountability on our board, I am the vote for you. I humbly ask for your vote on November 8th. Respectfully, I have earned a seat at the table.
Thank you. Stephen Tremaine.
Again, thank you for hosting this event, and to those that are live streaming. Sheridan is a wonderful community. It's a reflection, in fact, most of Wyoming is a reflection of America. America that we want and America where it's going. How we run our schools, how our children learn, what we offer in the schools, whether it be agriculture, mathematics, science, history, arts, English, how we present that information to our kids along with what's wrapped around it, how it's communicated, not just the topics, but the greatness of America, the greatness of this state. It's the people that makes this country. I'm committed to making sure the school district is a reflection of those values, that we support the teachers, we support the institution, and we get the resources from the state and from the parents. We can't do it without the parents. It's a community educational system. We're a reflection of what the voters want. There are four candidates. I'm hoping I am one of the elected. Please elect 3 other strong candidates. These 4 candidates that are elected are going to steer the board for the next 4 years, and your vote is critical. Thank you.
Thank you. Aaron Waddell.
It has been my honor to serve this school board for 4 years. I am the vice chair, a member of the CapCon committee, the budget committee, and the Sheridan Rec District. I'm all in. I care about the future of every child. As a chair of the Homer Mildred Scott Foundation, I have worked with this district for well over a decade to create public-private partnerships, like the Parent Liaison Program. Intentional collaborations like these have moved the needle on graduation rates, which in turn benefits our workforce, our future. I care about leading with integrity. As a recent graduate of Leadership Wyoming, I spent a year focused on a myriad of issues facing our beautiful state, including education, revenue, the Wyoming Constitution, public health, civility, and leadership itself. We listened. We spent significant time understanding complex and nuanced topics that reach across the state and down to the local level, like school boards. I care about our staff. The relentless dedication of our 607 staff is extraordinary. I applaud you. I support you. SESD2 is Sheridan's largest employer with one of the leanest budgets in the state. Our latest audit was spotless. Our tight budget reflects our values. We aren't the biggest district, but we are the best, from academics to athletics. Data just don't lie. Best outcomes for our children remain the top priority for this district and for me.
Thank you. Jay Calentine.
I do not pretend to know all the ins and outs of the district's finances, budgetary concerns, or a lot of the processes entailed with being on the board, or being quick with the answers when being put on the spot. Here's what I do know. Our children are the future, and how we mold them and shape them matters greatly. Our teachers are rock stars and have been through the grinder the last couple of years. We need to support them and let them know what a priority they are. We must listen to the concerns of the parents without making them feel alienated. We must keep things like critical race theory and the proper or improper uses of pronouns out of the school entirely. We must return our focus to the individual learning needs of the students versus what the standardized test scores say about our kids. We must focus on the upcoming opportunities to advance the community, like the Holly Seed Building Project. I'm proud to live in Sheridan, and we truly have a special school district, and I would like to help move it forward with your vote in November. Thank you.
Thank you. Chip King?
First, I'd like to thank everyone that is still sitting out in the audience and those watching the live stream and will watch the recording. It shows your concern, your dedication for Sheridan County School District Number 2. My concern with Sheridan County School District Number 2, the reason I'm running, students, period. Students. They have got to succeed. They need to be challenged. They need to be challenged in the classroom. They need to be challenged to stretch beyond what they feel that they are able to do. That support, that challenge comes from the teachers. The teachers need to be supported. The teachers need to continue their education. I need to continue my education. We all can be teachers and we all can be students, and we all need to learn. The teachers need that support. The community will only succeed if we challenge the students and support our teachers. And then those students graduate. They move on to Sheridan College. They move on to the University of Wyoming. That is how a community succeeds. And that is how, the seed of that is challenging those students and supporting the teachers in the schools. Thank you.
Thank you. Michael Lansing?
Thank you. 5 years ago, my wife and I made a really tough decision to move back to Sheridan. Not because of Sheridan, but we were leaving Casper, and we were in grade in Casper for 12 years. That's where most of our children, that's the only home they knew. And it's a tough decision to pull your kids out of another community, away from their friends and your friends, and start a new practice. But we moved here. One of the main reasons that was at the top of our list was the school district. The teachers and the staff are top-notch. The culture here of the arts and academics and athletics is above, it's talked about around the state. Trust me, down in Casper, they love talking about, oh, you're moving to Sheridan, it's not only beautiful, but the schools are great. I want to keep it that way. You know, one of the survey questions that came out was 41% of the teachers surveyed said there was negative morale. Why is that? I know the board said, well, we need more breaks. We're going to give more 3-day weekends. That might have worked, but the teachers I talked to said they just wanted to be heard and supported and truly allowed to teach the kids. I want to make sure we set policies that way. I want to finish by something I started with, and that is I want to bring back to the school board meetings that we challenge each other at those meetings, not in work sessions, but in public, so the public knows what's going on. We question the administrators on why they're making decisions, but not in a disruptive way. I want to bring back unity and civility to the board meetings. Thank you.
Thank you. David Myers?
Yes. Again, I would like to say that you can't argue with results, and we have great schools in Sheridan County District 2. I believe that our community knows what a good thing we've got going and doesn't want a wrench thrown into the gears. I look forward, if I were to be so lucky to get your vote, to working with the current school board and learning. And some of the priorities that I would like to address are, well, we have had learning loss over the last couple of years, especially in math and science. Now, I believe those numbers are going to come back up because I believe the current board is addressing it, and I believe we have, as everyone else here agrees, we have great teachers. But I look forward to working with our current board to address that situation. Our students have also been through a lot in recent years, and I don't want any child to feel as though they don't belong or to disengage from school life because of bullying or other peer or, God forbid, parent mistreatment in a school board meeting. And I look forward to working in the district to find ways to improve student morale and foster a caring school peer community where no child feels alienated or alone. And then finally, we have talented and motivated educators that really care about our kids in District 2. Nationwide, there's a teacher shortage, and we want to keep the great teachers we have. And so I look forward to working with the board to address teacher mental health and to find out from teachers what they need to keep performing at the highest level. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Shelter Ramber.
Thank you to the Chamber, the WYO Theater. Thank you to everybody who's here. I want to also thank the teachers for being awesome and being advocates for the children. You can learn more about me at shelterforsheridan.com. I have campaign flyers and yard signs in the in the lobby. I welcome questions and conversations on what's important to you. I have also been at the board meetings for the past 2 years. I have also earned a seat at the table. The song by Matthew West asks, if not you, then who? If not now, then when? The answers are, it is us, and the time is now. It is time for you, the voter, to know your power. It is you who literally have the oversight. You are the only check and balance for this school board. Your vote for me is a voice for the parents and an advocate for individual liberty. It is time to stand for what is right and denounce what is wrong. It is time for truth, transparency, and to regain the trust of this community. It is time for honest leadership. It is time to support the educators. It is time for parents to step up and be engaged in their children's education. It is time to put the students first. We rise on the shoulders of the great ones. It is time to be the great ones for our children so they may rise. Together, being bold and brave, we can do it. We are made for times such as these. Thank you.
Thank you. Brian Roberts.
Thank you. I'll speak frank. I support three things. I support a well-rounded education for our children, and that means that I do support having context in our history that we teach in our schools. I do support our children having pronouns and being able to use the restroom they want to use in the school. And I also support the teachers. I agree that teachers need more support, and whatever that means to them, we should support them. And I think all this things that are going on the last 2 years, we have candidates up here who are actively suing the school board and are running for the school district right now. And for them to tell you that like they're all for the teachers, they're all for the parents and everything else, I just don't see it. And and lastly, I'm invested in the school district just as much as anybody else is. I have 3 children here. They've all been here the whole time. I never pulled them out of the school district. I never put them in private schools. I don't support taking Title IX money away from the school district, which supports the free and reduced lunch program here, which some of the candidates will tell you that they do. And the only thing that hurts is the people who need that program in order to eat meals here. And the people who support that don't rely on that, so it doesn't affect them. And I support all the kids here, and I want to see everybody have the best education the public schools can offer, and that's all I want to see. I want to see everybody do well here, and even if that means you don't go to college, it doesn't matter. We need to have a well-rounded education that everybody can leave Sheridan and be whatever they want to be afterwards.
Thank you. Sarah Smothers.
First, I just want to say how much I love the Sheridan schools. They shaped who I am today. I'm overjoyed to have my children attending this district, and we made a conscious decision to move here so that can happen. But I believe that the role of the school board is to represent the community, and I don't believe that that's been happening so much lately. While I don't have experience on the school board per se, I've been a nurse for over 20 years, and there's actually a lot of crossover between healthcare and education. I have a ton of experience creating policies that take into account the boots on the ground. I think the staff are the people who know where the opportunities for success and improvement lie. I have experience looking at large budgets, most of my career in large healthcare facilities, and I know that it requires strategic planning and prioritizing where the money is spent. I have experience in hiring and retaining staff, ironically also during shortages, and I know more than anything that the staff just want to be heard and appreciated. I've worked on various staff appreciation initiative, and sometimes that just requires thinking outside the box. I'm a parent of students in the districts, so that means I have skin in the game, and I'm going to be a ferocious fighter for what's best.
Thank you. Please join me in thanking our candidates for Sheridan School District Number 2. In closing, on behalf of the Chamber and the Chamber Government Affairs Committee, I want to thank all of our candidates, all our volunteers. A special thank you to our Chamber staff, the WYO Theater staff, and all of you for attending. There is information out in the lobby on candidates as well as on wyovote.vote, where you can find out about all the candidates. And we are going to post the video, so please make sure that people are aware it's going to be on the Chamber website in the next 24 hours. And please vote on or before November 8th. Thank you.